Good evening again, Wolfpack Nation. We are back and better than ever for week 4. We obviously are joined by another new face this week. Welcome to the show, Griffin Barfield from our friends over at Clemson. So, we are going to be doing a crossover today, and we're going to be letting Griffin give our fans here the rundown, the 411 on Clemson. As always, Colby Pleasance, the beautiful and talented Colby Pleasance down there ready to rock and roll. And our, I guess I'm gonna call him our just analyst, our just football
Oh,
know-it-all, Hunter Smith down here. He's gonna be breaking down his games of the week as well as ours, as we always do. We do our three keys to the game. We do our three key players. We do our score predictions. Now we've adding on to our show. Now we're going to be doing 5 games a week for you guys. So welcome aboard to everybody. Thank you guys for spending some time with us tonight. Griffin, hopefully you can enjoy us, kind of breaking down this last week for Louisiana Tech for a little bit. So, Colby, I'm going to let you start. What were your takeaways from last week, from the week that was? It was the first half, second half, difference. So tell us what you got.
So, if you haven't noticed, I got a new hat.
Nice.
I was at the game against Louisiana Tech. I got to go as a last minute kind of thing. One of my buddies got tickets, and I got to go. Got to be on the field. Got to go on Carter Finley's field. Only have done that 3 times in my entire life, so that was pretty fun. But the game itself, started out kind of shaky. We didn't know who was playing quarterback because our starting quarterback, Grayson McCall, went out with an injury. It's an undisclosed injury. A lot of speculation is that it's concussion. And if you don't know Grayson McCall's history with concussions, it's not very great. And it could be a serious thing. And just like with some people who have gotten serious concussions in football, you just got to take it with, how if they have gotten so many, you can't take them out there. You got to think of the person than the football player. And so I got to just see us roll out our new freshman 6'6" CJ Bailey. And I was really happy to see him. I did not like the interception he threw, but it's a very freshman interception. But I would say he corrected himself after that. He was flawless after that. He looked like he, really knew what he was doing. And honestly, I saw why we had him as the backup to McCall. He has a command of that offense. In my opinion, he has a different demeanor. He has a different style. He just seems like he has a different feeling with that offense than Grayson did, or kind of the same thing that Grayson had. He had a good leadership, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But the game itself kind of was but we came out with a win, of course, and that's always fun. Carter Finley is fun to be at when we're winning, horrible to be at when we're losing. But it was a fun game. I was glad that I went, and I was glad to see the Wolfpack win. And now that we're 2-1 on the season, and it was great. I have really no complaints. I'm glad to see our defense is finally stepping up.
Cool deal. Hunter, what you got? What were your takeaways?
I had a great day on Ag Day. Never want to lose that one. One of my best friends came up from down east. Both of my families had farms, so it was just special to see them do a little tailgating. The weather worked out. It ended up being pretty sunny, not issues. I was pretty impressed with our defense. I think anytime you hold somebody to 21 points or less, I'll take those odds against most teams if you can do that. Caden really turned it on for me this week. He graded out really high on Pro Football Focus with a 90% or 90 rating. I think that was 4th among all Power 4 linebackers. So I was very proud of him. Very proud. He came out the second half, and we had 2 starters out in the secondary at corner. We held out Aiden to be safe, from what I understand. I don't know if he could have gone or not. It was a close call, but I'm glad we held him out since we won the game. I was also really impressed with Devin Marshall in the secondary. He seemed like he was flying around all over the place. So when young guys are stepping up, that just gets me real excited, with the way our season's going so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to our offense, a couple of things that really stood out to me. You know, right now we got 3 passing touchdowns in 3 games.
Yeah,
that's a concern for me. I still feel like we're trying to go with the hot hand at running back, and sometimes I'm not sure our coaches are even doing that. Kendrick Raphael had 9 carries for 63 yards, averaging 7 a clip and a touchdown. I thought he really looked sharp this week. Jordan Waters struggled. He runs hard. He had 10 carries for 3.6 yards a carry, only 36 yards. And Hollywood never got going. 5 carries, yards. Not knocking them. They're all going to be important for what we're trying to do. But I was disappointed in that. I thought we should have stayed with Kendrick Raphael a little more. And then to bring up C.J. Bailey, that early interception was disappointing, but not really being thrown into action like that. I thought he commanded that offense. His composure was excellent after that. That says a lot about how the level of ball he played in high school down in Florida. He bounced right back, led us down the field. I hate to say it, to me, he's bigger than Grayson. I think he's a little bit quicker running. I think their arm strengths are close, but CJ might even have that. I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but our team fed off his energy. And I think that was the biggest difference I noticed, is that they were excited to play with him. So I saw a lot of positives, even though the game wasn't won like we wanted it to. I still think we're looking good heading into Clemson with him leading us.
Awesome. So, yeah, my number one takeaway absolutely was the play of C.J. Bailey. I mean, I shouldn't have been surprised because, I mean, we all saw him in the spring game, and he threw the interception in the spring game and then rebounded right back with a touchdown. So fully expected him to do that and be that type of guy. So we'd heard about him in the spring. You know, we'd heard how good he had been. We'd heard how things were coming along and how much he had progressed even through fall camp. So, you know, I'm excited to see how does he handle this environment coming up this week, because it's going to be a raucous crowd down in Clemson, and we all know their defense is one of the best in the country. So it's going to be, you know, a good atmosphere for him and a good opportunity for him to see just what do we have. I think we talked about it on the show last week. You know, we needed to find out what do we have at quarterback. So, you know, that was one of our main takeaways from last week. But, you know, got to give credit to the young guys out in the secondary too. I mean, you know, you can't go wrong with Marshall. Kaufman's got his pick 6 too. So, I mean, you know, it was a great night, great day all around, great second half anyway. You know, the first half, me and Jay were up in the press box at Furman watching their game, and I just about kind of chucked my phone out onto the Furman football field after the first 15 minutes. And, you know, it was just not good. But, you know, ultimately we got things going. They didn't even have a punt in the second half, which was another good positive takeaway from us. So, you know, they had 3 drives, 3 scores, which was nice to see. So good to catch the win. That's all that we really can do much as far as taking away from that game. We got to win. And you end up now you get to head down to the Tigers Den. So you get to take on one of our biggest rivals. I know a lot of NC State fans don't consider this a rival, but I'm old enough to really go back. Hunter and I go back a long time, and we've so accustomed to seeing the Textile Bowl trophy switching, you know, from Clemson to NC State. Unfortunately, it's stayed in Clemson way too many times for our liking. But, you know, right now it's sitting over in the Murphy Center, and you know, we'll carry Clemson this week. So looking forward to this game.
People don't realize Clemson's been a really good program for a long time. They have a national title in the 1980s. In that decade, they had a little bit of a hiccup, I know, but they've been around. So, yeah, the rivalry, you and I know we're a little bit older. They've always treated our state fans really good at tailgates when we go down there. That goes back to when my dad was there in the 70s. So definitely a great atmosphere if you're going to the game this week.
Yep. Well, let's kick it off, man. We're gonna start off with our 3 key players. Let's do it like this, so we'll switch it up a little bit for the fans this week. Let's do it where, Hunter, I'm gonna let you do your keys to the keys to the game this week. We'll start out with yours, and then I'll do mine as well.
All right, so you want my 3 key players or 3 keys to the game?
Let's do your 1 key. Like, give us 1 key this week. Each of us will do 1 key this week.
All right, I think Clemson is flat out really good. I think they're closer to 10 or 15th in the nation than where they're. What are they, 19 this week starting out? Is it 19 around there? 18 somewhere? I think for my first key is to let C.J. Bailey actually run a full playbook. Don't sit here and try to be timid and be conservative and try to protect him. I think you just got to cut him loose. He doesn't have any pressure. The expectations are minimal for people that know what's going on in Raleigh. So make sure that playbook's wide open. That's my first take.
All right, Colby, what's your second take? What do you think after that second key to the game? Colby, so yeah, Colby, what's your second key to the win for us this week?
I really feel like second key really is we shouldn't allow Clemson to really like get in our head. I feel like the atmosphere of Death Valley really needs to not phase us. I know that it's like one of the toughest places to play in college football. I believe in NCAA 25, it's like rated as like the 13th best or like the 12th best or something like that. Something crazy. But I just feel like that just doesn't need to phase our team. We need to come out. We need to handle our business. We need to not shoot ourselves in the foot. You know, we can't beat ourselves. And this team continues to beat themselves. And so not beating ourselves is my real big key to this game. I really feel like we should not beat ourselves. I mean, we come out, handle business. I feel like we can win.
Okay. My biggest key is going to be shutting down the running game. Last year in this football game, you and I attended this game live at Carter Finley last year, and the second half was much different for Clemson as Phil Maffa kind of just started taking over that second half. And that's been my biggest thing for us and biggest key for us is to make sure that we're not giving up, a ton of rushing yards this week. NC State has not been good against the run the first 2 weeks. Last week was a little bit better in the second half as we saw Sean Brown and Caden Fordham started to come on and get better, which was a really good sign for me. I want to see progress, but yeah, that was our number one key this week was just trying to make sure Phil Maffa doesn't do what he did against us in the second half last year, because he was almost close to 6 yards a carry against us last year in the second half. And, if not for that Peyton Wilson interception, it might have been a totally different game for them.
He's averaging 6.8 a game right now, or touch, 6.8 a touch right now running.
Yeah. So, we got to be able to do what we do best, which typically NC State's been so good at stopping the run. And that was my number one key for this week, but I love yours too. Don't let CJ get so, kind of in a wall, where he's not opening up the plays and not allowed to be himself. So, but yeah, now it's time for us to go to our guy over in Clemson. So what's Griffin, what you got for us this week? We're going to let you do all three of your keys to the game for Clemson this week.
Yeah. First and foremost, thank you guys for having me again. I know that we did something like this last year, so it's nice to kind of do that again. And I know that we keep talking about CJ Bailey, and that's actually my first point of the game is kind of get him distracted and get him uncomfortable with how the game will be played. I like what CJ Bailey did against LA Tech last week. I did think that interception was a little bit of a beginner's mistake, but he settled in really nicely. I know, like you guys said, his command was very strong, and I really like that, especially for his future. But it is Parents Weekend here. It is one of the biggest games, one of the biggest home games in Death Valley, so there will be at least 80,000 people in Memorial Stadium. So I really think if you get him off his command early and you take control of the game, I really think that Clemson could have a lot of success there. And a lot of that is going to be on that freshman quarterback. So it's a big game for him, especially with it being his first start. Number two is missed tackles. And this was a big reason why Georgia kind of opened the game against Clemson in week one, especially in that second half, was especially at the linebacker duo of Wade Woodaz and Barrett Carter. They missed a lot of tackles, especially in the running game. And I'm going to go back to week one last year against Duke. Jordan Waters, who is now an NC State player, broke a lot of tackles, a lot of missed tackles on that front, and that cost Clemson a big deficit in that game. They eventually lost that game, and that's just been a struggle for something. And the Appalachian State, when we played them in that big historic game offensively, defensively, the running backs for App State did find a lot of success. They scored the only touchdown off a running play. So I think that it's going to be a big job for Barrett Carter and Woodaz to kind of take away that duo of Raphael and Waters and even Bailey if he decides to use his legs. He does have a big frame. And then lastly, I have involved the freshmen. There are three big recruits that Clemson picked up last year, two being receivers, Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore. Both of them had touchdowns against Appalachian State. Wesco had a 73-yard house call in the third play of the game. And I'm going to tell you guys, it was the loudest I've ever seen Death Valley. It was like just finally, we finally did this. We finally threw the ball more than 5 yards. So probably to do that. Wesco is an incredible player, more at a touchdown, and they were incorporated a lot more than they were against Georgia. And then on the defensive side, linebacker Sammy Brown. He led the team in tackles against App State, and he's a big special teams guy. He was a big part of that second team for the linebacker spot. And then Clemson recently lost to linebacker Colby McLeod. He's out for the year. So Sammy Brown will have a lot more snaps on the defensive side of the ball. So as long as they're involving them, I really see Clemson finding a lot of success.
Perfect, man. We appreciate you for giving that breakdown. So our next segment we're going to do is Hunter, and I'm going to start with you. Who's your top key player for NC State that just has to have a really big game in order for us to win this thing?
I actually want to do multiple players, but it will make sense with the way the show's going. I think NC State's front six, D linemen and linebackers versus Clemson's O-line is going to hit on a bunch of my points this week.
Okay.
We've got to be able to get pressure on Cade and shut their running game down. I think that's your best chance against him. He is a proven winner, winning an ACC championship against UNC, but like an all world out of Texas, I believe. So we just got to get to him. And it's the same story for them. I think it's definitely in the trenches for us this week. That's my biggest key. That'll give CJ Bailey time on the flip side too. So it's really up front. I want to see Clemson's O-line. They had that all conference preseason guy. I think it's Blake Miller. We just got to get after that.
Yeah. So Hunter's going with the trenches this week. Colby, who are you going to go with as far as your key player this week? Or key unit? You can go either or.
Well, I can tell you for the Clemson fans, we don't have Peyton Wilson, so you don't have to worry about him. We do have a guy who's similar to Peyton, though, and he just got a really high grade, is graded one of the highest graded linebackers recently, and that is Mr. Caden Fordham. He, to me, is going to be a tone setter for this. If you're one of the highest graded linebackers, I feel like you should act like it. I feel like you need to go out there and dominate. And if you don't, then I don't want to see you as the highest graded linebacker again. You need to go out there and dominate. I want to see him, at least have a pick or something. He's gotten this close in like 3 games. This close to getting picks. And I'm telling you right now, once he gets a pick, he's housing it. And it will give Klubnik flashbacks of last year.
I like that.
I don't know. I like Caden Fordham, but I also like Jordan Waters. It would be very ironic if he gets going this game. Clemson fans should know this guy very well. And, I picked the 2 players that are probably the most unlikely, in my opinion, players to be good in this game. But, hey, it's Clemson. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go again, kind of as I was looking at this game this week, it was kind of more of the same for me, but I got to go with my guy, Justin. Y'all know how much I love him. I think he's really going to be a mismatch against, Clemson's linebackers. I really think Justin Jolie could have a really big game. He's really talked about it. He really wants to, up himself and get his game on the level that he knows he's capable of. I mean, he still had 75 yards against Tennessee and said he really wanted to get better again. So I really think we can utilize him. I also think we can utilize some others too, but I just kind of decided to group it all into the guys who are going to create the mismatches because I really think that's where it's going to be this week. I really honestly expect both teams to be really good in the trenches. I know Hunter talked about that, but I expect it to be a different type of game, just like it was last year. I mean, I thought NC State's line did a great job in the second half. I mean, I think that was the whole key to us having sustained drives in the second half was our O-line really opened up holes for the running backs. So I wasn't really as much concerned about that, but I'm looking at for the mismatches as where can we take advantage of that Clemson defense. And I think that's kind of where I looked at Justin Jolie and just said I think he could really have a really big impact on this game for this week.
That matchup's going to be something. I know R.J. Mickens is a big-time player in their secondary. He's a safety, right? I'm sure they're going to have an eye on Jolie. and KC as well. And that's we're only doing 1 point right now. I got so much. I'm fired up today.
Yeah, man.
Hey, baby.
Listen, man, you got the floor is yours. We got some time, so we can dive into your guys if you guys want to do a little bit more. I'm gonna let Griffin talk to us about his 3 key players for Clemson, and then we'll have some open time at the end of the show. We can talk a little bit more.
Yeah. So my 3 are very generic. I'm going to start first at the quarterback position with Cade Klubnik. The last time that he played, he came off probably the greatest half of a Clemson quarterback in history, 378 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 on the ground. And he just looked completely different compared to last season. He looked comfortable for once. He looked really, really confident. And you could see that in his demeanor off the field too, just looking at him in an interview. He stands just like a leader now, and he's having a lot more leadership. And I'm really excited to see how he begins ACC play with, especially coming off a performance like that where he had national accolades for Offensive Player of the Week. For number 2, it is a duo. It's basically whoever is going to be on KC Conception, and it's either going to be Shelton Lewis or Avion Terrell, both sophomore cornerbacks. Conception is one of the best wide receivers in the ACC, in my opinion. The way that NC State have used him in a very dynamic way opens up the game a lot. And I think that whoever's going to be guarding him, that was a big question at the interviews today to the cornerbacks, was about KC. So whoever's going to be on him, it's just hopefully a lockdown situation, because if he gets going, that opens up a completely different part of the game for NC State, which benefits the Wolfpack instead of the Tigers. And then last but not least, I know that you guys mentioned him already, but running back Phil Maffa, he was the big reason why Clemson went on that 5-game winning streak at the end of the year, and he received 25 against Notre Dame. He had 36 carries, and he had 10 against App State, but that was for okay reason. And then he only had 16 against Georgia, and he had an 83-yard house call against App State. So I know that NC State have been a little bit shaky with defending the run. I know I was just looking at that Tennessee game. I was watching that game. I know that Samson had a very big game against them. I think Maffa could find that same success if they give him the ball and give him his usage. So for Klubnik, either Shelton Lewis or Terrell, whoever's guarding Conception, and Phil Maffa are my 3 or 4.
Awesome. Yeah, we were watching this game, Louisiana Tech, last week, and I know a lot of us were watching the first half. A ton of targets went Casey's way, but he only had 25 yards. So, and then as game went on, we just saw, Casey being a little bit banged up. So, the realistic thing for this week and for us is really just going to be paying attention to how well does Casey respond to treatment and things this week. So really kind of, I know that was if we kind of go back and think about it, Casey's catch and run, for the touchdown last year was huge, with him breaking the tackle on the corner on the slant route and getting the house call. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Casey does and how he looks, but I honestly want the other receivers to kind of take the step forward. That's what we've been talking about for 2-3 weeks now. So we're just waiting for that moment where, Noah Rogers wakes up and decides he wants to take over a game, because he's fully capable of doing so.
And we have other guys.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of other guys, but I'm waiting for Noah to really take that step, because I think he's the most talented receiver we've had at NC State in a long time.
Former Clemson player Dakari Collins didn't play too bad last week, and he's another option we would love to get going. I really think you're going to take Casey and Jolie out of it a little bit, and that's what I wanted to do real quick, because I think Noah Rogers and Dakari Collins will be key for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a game of will, I think. I think these two coaches and these two teams know each other so well at this point. There's no secrets between either one of them. They're two of the longest tenured coaches in the ACC. They play every single year, so it's nothing new. There's no secrets. There's no, hey, we don't know y'all don't know us. We know each other really well, maybe too well. So the games tend to, break on a turnover or on, something that just shifts the momentum for the game. And, I think it's going to be that again. The last time we were down in Death Valley, it was the Will Shipley touchdown that, he got that, and that changed the whole momentum for them down in Death Valley. So this is a tough one for us, because we haven't won, down in Clemson since 2002. So I mean, it's been 22 years since we've gone down there and done something. So
Who was the quarterback back then?
I can't really remember that, Colby. I mean, I think the dude that kind of made the NFL and played in a long time. I think his name was Rivers or something like that. I can't remember. Some guy maybe Clemson doesn't remember.
I know that name.
Well, y'all better know that name too, because his son's just as good. So y'all need to stay away from him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We know it's tough. The environment's tough. I think the last time I saw, I think Clemson's like 65-5 in their last 70 home games in Death Valley. So I mean, it's not good for a lot of teams, and we're hoping to not end up in the graveyard this week. So. But yeah, Hunter, we'll let you kind of take things away too now. I'm gonna let you talk about your games of the week this week, and then we'll get into our score predictions.
All righty. I know the spread's back up to 20.5. I thought I saw it go down to 17 this afternoon with State Clemson, but it's still right around 3 touchdowns. All right, so I think this is Friday night. You got number 24 Illinois is at number 22 Nebraska. Nebraska's favored by 3.5. I'm definitely feeling Nebraska's mojo right now, and I'm going to take them definitely winning, and I like them to cover that. Georgia Tech at number 19 Louisville is an interesting game if Georgia Tech wants to be taken serious. Everybody was really, really high on them after beating Florida State. So I do think Syracuse is pretty respectable, and it's very tough to play them up there. They took that loss, but this is a chance for them to really get back on the national stage. I don't think they're going to beat Louisville at Louisville, though. As for the spread, Louisville by 10, I think Louisville doesn't cover it, but I think they win. I think Georgia Tech will fight them pretty good. So give me Louisville. Rutgers at Virginia Tech, 3.5 Virginia Tech. Rutgers doesn't, they don't get a lot of love, but they do have a sneaky good team. That's going to be my upset pick. Number 12, Utah at number 14, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's favored by 2, but didn't Utah's quarterback out hurt?
Yeah.
So it's like that spread is tiny.
Yeah.
You might can make some money on that. This is one I'm going to make y'all pick because I refuse to pick Florida State ever again until they change quarterback. So California is at FSU. FSU's getting 2.5 points as favored. How are they favored? How?
California. FSU sucks.
Yeah, give me Cal because Ott is healthy again. So give me him in the backfield. Give me them. Give me the Bears. I really do think Ott might end up doing the Marshawn Lynch where he jumps on a golf cart again and starts driving around. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, give me the Bears this week. So
got 2 more. Kansas State, number 13, Kansas State at undefeated BYU, unranked BYU. Kansas State is favored by 6.5. They're already battle tested, man. They've won some good ball games so far. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take them, and I honestly don't know how close it's going to be because they got to be tired every week playing a game that's so close. So Kansas State barely, they don't cover. And then my game of the week is probably number 6 Tennessee at number 16 Oklahoma. Tennessee is favored by 7. Tennessee's been scoring a gazillion points on everybody. We'll finally find out if they're for real this week, though. I am going to take them, and I think they barely cover to 7.
Boomer Sooner. Boomer Sooner.
You'll eat me up on Twitter. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Boomer Brent.
Give me the Sooners. I hope the Sooners boat race them.
You never pick against a home team like that. Yeah. I know I'm crazy.
You can't go against the Brent Venables defense too, man. I mean, how could you go against that? So
I know. I think I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat my words.
Give me the Sooners this week.
Yep, Boomer Sooner.
Griffin, what you got? I mean, I know. What's your take on that one?
I've been thinking about this game a lot. There are a lot of bad blood. Josh Heupel coming back to Oklahoma. That's the school that he won the Natty in 2000. I think Oklahoma's going to win that game. The environment's crazy. It's their first game in the SEC. You have to start your first game out in a new conference with a win, especially in a conference as big as that. I think Oklahoma's going to win just barely.
Absolutely.
I'm the only one that picked it, so that's going to be I'm going to get a game on y'all next week.
Nice. So Griffin, just so you know, we keep track of our picks. We just started doing this last week, so we're going to make these guys send us our picks, and then we're at the end of the year we're going to be doing our big board, and whoever is going to get the best record at the end of the year is going to get a very special prize courtesy of a whole pack of wolves. So we're excited for that.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, well, let's get down to it, man. It's time for the show. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the score predictions. We're going with our huge game of the week. Griffin, we're going to start with the Wolfpack first. So, Colby, give us your thoughts. You've been the closest so far, I think, out of all of us for the 3 picks. So, give us what you think and why.
Oh my. Well, the homer in me really wants to say 24-17, just like last year.
Okay.
But I could see it as Clemson wins by a touchdown, maybe. I don't see it being a 20-point loss. I don't see that. I don't see us getting boat raced. Is what I'm like. I don't see us getting App State.
Yeah.
I just don't see them putting up 66 on us. But I think we could get blown out maybe. But I really think that what I really want is for us to win 34-17.
Okay. So you're not taking Clemson with the 69 points like you did against Tennessee the first week.
The Georgia game really kind of opened my eyes to what Clemson has as problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think State, this is a bigger game for State. I feel like Clemson could run the table, State needs this game. And so that's why I feel like it's just, to me, it's like I'm not going to pick us to lose to them, I'm going to pick us to win.
Okay.
So I'm going to say 34-17 State.
All right. Hunter, what you got? I know you're Mr. Analytical down there, so I know you got
I'll be okay. I've been impressed with Cade Klubnik. I didn't get a chance to say it earlier. I think he's thrown 5 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. You got multiple guys that he can go to and feels comfortable going to. I'm very worried about your tight end as well. We didn't mention him earlier. And your running back, obviously, but I do think this game is a rivalry game for us. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring than some people might think on Clemson's end. I'm going to take Clemson 28-14.
All right. So I'm definitely going with my head this time. I've gone too much with my heart in the last couple of weeks, and it just hasn't really done too well for me. I do think NC State does cover, though. I don't think it's going to be that big of a spread, but I just don't know that we're at that level yet where we can go down to Clemson and get the job done. So, give me the Tigers. I think it's still going to be close, but I'm going to say it's going to be 31-17 Tigers down in Death Valley. So, Griffin, what you got? We'll get your takes on it, and then we're going to wrap the show up.
Yeah. I think it's a big game for Clemson. They started out ACC play 0-2 last year, the early losses to Duke and Florida State. I think they come out firing. I don't think you see an offensive explosion like you saw against App State. I think NC State keep it close. All these games are generally close, especially with it being a rivalry game. I think the Clemson defense is able to hold out CJ Bailey in the offense a little bit. I think the defense really takes over in that second half. I got a low scoring NC State. I do have covering the spread. I do think the NC State line is a little bit inflated, especially with how Clemson played week 2. I don't think you can really replicate that week after week after week. I have 24-13 Clemson.
All right. That's very pretty much spot on. These two teams, they just know each other. The defenses are always pretty prepared for each other. So especially these last 3 have been really, really close, and I think they've come down to a couple of plays either way. So, I could easily see this game turning on a dime on somebody making a bad mistake or, bad fumble in the red zone or something like that. So, but yeah, I definitely went with my head. I just, I picked Tennessee to lose to NC State and just looked terrible for that pick. So, I'm going with my head this time. So, but yeah, Griffin, we really do appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a great time with us. So I know we're going to be joining your show too. So, I wanted you to get the early preview for what I was going to talk about down there. So definitely appreciate you joining. We look forward to joining your show as well. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us who you're with. Give us all your good stuff for us.
Yeah, my Twitter handle is in my bio. Just again, thank you guys for having me. I really had a good time breaking this game down with you. Excited for our other podcast. I'm with Clemson Sports Media, CU Sports Media on Twitter, clemsonsportsmedia.com. We have everything from articles, photo galleries, to podcasts every week. So if you want to see anything Clemson, more than free to look over there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again for joining the show, Hunter. I really hope you get your pick because you need one to make up from last week. So, so you're down one game right now. So you got to come back.
I got too many friends in Florida, and I keep getting taken to bait. I was too confident on West Virginia. Even all these analysts keep saying they're good. They can get out of here. Make your own decisions.
Yeah. So. But we always let our man with the master plan down there. He always carries us out for the show. I'm just always going to say, go Pack to our fans. Always check us out on our YouTube channel as well. We're at A Whole Pack of Wolves. You can check out all of our NC State athletic coverage on that. But Colby, take us away, man.
All right, of course. It's Clemson week. We don't like them. They don't like us. You know, it is what it is. We beat them last year. You know, it's a bit of a rivalry. So go Pack. You know, you can't see there. There you go. Go Pack. And one.
Oh my God.